Hello. So we're the Alby Asia team. We have a couple.
So how many of you guys are using Alby right now? It's great.
And how many of you, the first time you used Alby was for Nostr? Yeah. Cool. So I'm Roland. I work on Alby and also Lightsats. So I have some Lightsats gift cards here, so pay attention and I'll ask some questions. So for people who don't know, Lightsats is the easiest way to onboard someone to Lightning through tips. So each card has 21,000 sats on it. You don't have to use it yourself. You can give it to a friend who's never used Lightning before if you like. Oh, sorry, just one more thing. So Lightsats won the Bolt Fund Hackathon last December. And there's another Bolt Fund Hackathon running right now, which is Lightning and Nostr, and they have over 30 projects. So I'd encourage you to have a look and also join in. We have some cool tools from Alby that will help, which Aditya will talk a bit later on.
Hello everyone, my name is Aditya and I work for Alby, and you can find me here. And let's move on to the presentation now.
So I'm sure everyone here knows this picture, right? Right from the early days, we've had the Internet of Information. You can send information for free in real time. But the problem is, since the internet was invented, we've never had a way to natively make payments. But right from the introduction of the HTTP protocol, there was a code that's been reserved for future use. But unfortunately, at the time, there was no technology that is powerful enough to use directly on the web. So what if there was? What if you could send money as easily as information? And we call this the Internet of Value. So back to the present, what do we have right now? Is pretty terrible, right? So credit card forms, you have to provide a lot of information, and this is still what happens right now on my iPhone. If I want to make payments, I have to fill out this form. I have to give my address, my credit card number, just to start making payments. And you see there's a Pay with PayPal button, but it's not really any better, right? It's still a credit card payment underneath. And there's a funny picture on the left, like, you know, people try and trick you into giving your details away and hope that you forget to cancel your subscription. So here's an example payment processor called Stripe. I guess a lot of you know it. It's probably the most popular right now. But for every single payment, you have to pay 2.9% fee and then 30 cents on top of that. No matter if you paid a 1 cent payment, you'd still pay 30 cents. And this is really important because it means micropayments are not possible. Imagine if you made one payment every second. That 30 cents is going to stack up, right? So, oh, sorry, we've got a window on the screen. Firstly, I have the first question. There's a Vietnam word on here, so someone raised their hand. What does this mean? Yes, you? 1 year. Great. So after this presentation, come up and I've got a Lightsats card for you. So what do we have right now? We have two possible monetization models so that people who create services can actually make money. The first one is paid subscriptions. So you have to pay to use the service, but if you pay, then you get a pretty good deal. The other one is ads. So this is for people who don't want to pay, but they get a significantly less positive experience. So just digging into the subscription model, there's more centralization, right? Because users don't want to subscribe to a whole bunch of services. So they'll pick a few and they'll pick the most popular ones. And what happens here is it means that these services like YouTube or Facebook or Spotify, they become big and they become more centralized. And the problem here is they have control over all the content on their platform. And you see what happened with COVID, right? Some content was deemed inappropriate and they removed it. Another issue is, if I sign up for YouTube and I don't watch a single video, I still pay the same amount as someone who watches 24/7. There's also the issue with exclusive content. So YouTube and Spotify, they compete with each other. They want the subscriptions, so they'll try and create exclusive content with stars that you want to watch, but for the user experience is terrible, right? You have to sign up for all these different platforms. You have to pay every month for all just to get the exclusive content. And they also use these questionable techniques, right? So they might give you a trial. If you try and leave, they'll give you a discount. Yeah, so what's the alternative is you don't pay, right? And nothing in life is free. So if you don't pay, you're probably the product. So this is the advertising model, where your attention is what's being paid. So again, more centralization, because there's only a few companies who have access to advertisers and have the integration available that they can give ad revenue back to the users who create the content, like in YouTube. So if you don't pay and you want to use YouTube, right now, every single video that I open, I have to watch 2 ads beforehand, which I have no interest in at all. And also creators on YouTube take advantage of this. So they want people to see their videos because they earn money from ad revenue when people watch the video, and this causes more clickbait. So as I said, it's a terrible user experience for most people. I mean, maybe you get some relevant ads, that's great, but most of the time it's not. And also for creators, it's not the best experience because you can't start earning money instantly. There's thresholds that you have to achieve before you can start earning. And there's more spam. So I guess most of you know Twitter, right? And Elon Musk, he said, I'm going to get rid of spam, right? But you can't. On a free platform, there's no way because bots always evolve. So is there something better? Firstly, for the consumers. So we want an app where we have access to all content and we just pay for what we use. There's no ads, there's no nothing we want to see. We just want a nice app experience. For creators as well, we want to be paid fairly for the content that we create. We don't want to have to give a 30% cut away to someone else. And even for the developers, like ourselves, I think it's quite soul-crushing making a nice app and then having to integrate ads or some other terrible sort of payment. Whereas, what about if you could integrate a native payment system where everything just works really smoothly? So, we need a new monetization model and a new payment network. The current payment network, fiat, this is not possible. So, second question for today. Who knows the name of this guy? Someone raise their hand? No one knows. Okay, raise your hand if you know what he says. Okay. Sorry, yep. Bitcoin, okay. Yep. Let's see if I can play it. But you did a good impersonation. Cool. So yeah, Bitcoin, magic internet money. So Bitcoin and Lightning is the missing protocol for the web. It's open, decentralized, censorship resistant. It's lightning fast with Lightning, the second layer for Bitcoin. And the fees are unfairly low, which means you can link payments to every single interaction. You can stream payments. And because of this, there's been an explosion of innovation. A lot of building blocks are already available, so you can start building right away. And just to say, that's exactly what I did with Lightning, with Lightsat, sorry. So now, we talked about the subscription and the ad model, but is there a better monetization model? Of course there is, and that's value for value. For creators who provide value, they should be given value back from their consumers. So what are the pros of value for value? Less centralization, because you can send payments directly from the consumer to the creator of the content. There's no middleman. And you can host the content wherever you want. There's more privacy because there's no ad model. And for the ad model to work, they have to track where you go, what you do, what you like. Whereas even, the in-app browser experience is terrible. I'll talk about that later. There's higher quality content as well because content that receives payments is a really good indicator of it being quality content. And it's a fair payment system. So if we go back to the subscription model, I subscribe to YouTube and I only watch, is Priya here? Yes, I only watch Priya's videos, okay? So I pay for a whole month and I don't know how much of my payments go towards Priya. So with a fair payment system, I can pay him directly. And this also creates a closer relationship. So if I want to support Priya, but I can also attach a message to my payment, and if I pay the most, then he's going to see that. He can even show it on his video, and everyone can see what I wrote. And there's better apps. So it's not like Twitter or YouTube where you have one app. It's like the world of Nostr, which we'll talk about later. You can use any client you want, or same as podcasting, you can use any client as long as they follow the same common specifications. So how do we get started, right?
Yeah. So for that, you need two things. So to enable the Internet of Value, you need a Lightning wallet and a Lightning address. It's same as the email that you have, but it has superpowers because it can receive payments as well. So there are three types of wallets. One is a mobile wallet, the other is a desktop wallet, and the other is browser extension. And right now we are talking about Lightning on the web, and the easiest way to have these Lightning payments in a browser is having a browser extension, right? So let's talk more about it. So Alby fits right here because it creates a seamless user experience for payments and authentication, and it acts like a bridge between the users and the websites. So yeah, so what does this mean? It means that you can bring your wallet with you. It's not like Alby forces you to have and get Alby email Lightning address, but you can bring your own wallet if you have something like LN Bits, Blue Wallet, LND Hub, anything. You can connect it with it, and you can use the Alby get the same user experience. And also websites interact with Alby using an open standard called WebLN, so it's universal. And Alby manages the Lightning complexity for you because be it from the user perspective or from the website, if you're a developer making a website, everything is handled by Alby, so you just have to use these WebLN methods and other open standards that we have on GitHub. Yeah, so this all is fine, but how would you receive Lightning payments in traditional channels like GitHub, YouTube, or Mixcloud, or anything like that? So it's very simple actually, because all you have to do is include your Lightning address in location, or for example in Twitter, or you can simply add it in your profile, and our Lightning extension picks it up from the bio there, or your profile, and it turns blue, like you can see in the top right corner. And from there you can directly send satoshis, and you can basically, not just in Twitter, in any social media website, you can just add it to your profile, and it just picks it up from there. And we are also currently working on a boost button, which just gets injected into the website's UI, fitting into the user interface of that website. For example, in YouTube, we have this boost button, so you can click on it, and you can pay the person directly, like Roland said. Yeah, and for the other sites, this boost button would appear like a yellow icon here, and you can just click on it and pay them directly. So how would you enable this? How would you get a boost button on your website? So all you have to do is add a meta tag in your website, and it says with the name Lightning and the content as your Lightning address, and boom, you'll have your boost button floating in your bottom right corner of your website. And if you want something fancy, we also have that. You just have to add these few lines of code, and you'll get a fancy widget for your website as well.
So, yeah, that's cool, right? But we're just sending payments to Lightning addresses, right? What about native Lightning integration? What about Lightning-powered websites? So with Lightning, you can log in without giving any information about yourself. So if you think about standard login these days, log in with Facebook, log in with Google, they track you, right? And this is possible with LNURL, which is an open protocol. So no matter which Lightning wallet you use, as long as it follows this protocol, you can use it to log in. So here's an example on LightSats, where you log in order to be able to send tips. You just scan the QR code, or with Alby, you can just click a button, and you can instantly log in. And you have full control with permissions before doing any action. So you can also do payments with one click. Rather than scanning a QR code with the Alby extension, you just click a button, or actually the website itself can initiate the request, and Alby will pop up and you can just click pay. You can also even set a budget. So I can say, today I'm going to spend $10, and don't even ask me, just pay. So there's no user interaction from me at all, and I'm just paying sats. And we can see some examples of this later on. So another really cool thing about Lightning is that users can earn money from the platform that they're using. So in the LightSats case, users who receive a tip can withdraw it directly into their Lightning wallet. But what it also enables is Lightning-powered communities. So rather than, empty likes, what is a like? And what if there are bots, right? What if there are 1 million bots and they all send a like? Then how is this a good signal? But if you pay to like, each like is 1 Satoshi payment. This is a really powerful signal. So on Stacker News, people create content. The best content is upvoted, and the creators themselves receive the sats, and they can withdraw them to their own wallet. This is a really good example of value for value. But there's something actually even cooler. So we've just released WebLN.request, which allows you to do a request directly to your own Lightning node. And we'll give a simple example of this. But first, we need to speak about WebLN. What is it? So it's the Lightning Web Standard. So if you have a Lightning application, you need a provider which will implement WebLN, and it will talk directly to a user's node. So this really simplifies Lightning applications or websites, because all they need to do is rely on a WebLN provider, which does all the complicated communication with different types of nodes, no matter if you have LND node, core node, or you can even use a different service like LN bits or a different accounting system. Your WebLN provider will handle all that complexity, and developers like me, I can just create a Lightning application. So it's an open standard with direct access to your own node. So here's a great example of a really simple site that uses WebLN.request. So when you visit the site, it asks you to enter your public key, which you can paste in, right? But if you have the extension installed, you just click a button and it will retrieve your public key. So what Channel Ninja does is it recommends channel partners to you. So you have a node, I have a node, and I don't know who to open a channel with. And also, sorry, just a second. I don't really have the expertise to know, oh, I should open a channel with this node, and I don't know how this is going to improve the Lightning Network. If I open channels with people, maybe with nodes that are too large or too small or too connected, maybe my individual impact is smaller than it could be. So with Channel Ninja, it will recommend me some nodes. So there's a missing slide here. So for this service where Channel Ninja recommends the nodes, it's fair that they ask for a small payment. And we can do this directly through Alby with one click. So I'll go ahead and do that. And you can see also that using the extension, Channel Ninja was able to request information about my node. So you can see my public key, my alias, and a few other things, and how many channels I have here. So just 2 channels. I need to open some more channels, right? So here, Channel Ninja has a big list of recommendations for me, so I'll just choose the top one. I want to open a channel. And I can do this directly on the web browser. I don't need to install anything on my node, which is really awesome. So first thing I do to open a channel is I have to connect to the node that I want to open the channel with. That's one request called connect pair. And Alby will ask me, do you actually want to do that? So I have full control over this. So I click yes, and the next thing is it will ask me to open the channel. And I get to choose the size of the channel and how much I will pay in the funding fee. So once I've opened the channel, obviously it takes some time because it's an on-chain Bitcoin transaction, but channel.ninja will give me a link where I can view the transaction and know when it's completed. And this could even be improved because Channel Ninja can use WebLN to talk with my node, and it can figure out if transactions are completed or not. So there's a whole bunch of other things you can do with WebLN.request. Basically anything that is exposed by the LND or CLN or any other node, if they have an API, we can talk to it. So if you're interested in more about WebLN, you can visit webln.guide. So a bit of a change of pace now. So hands up, who is this guy? Okay, yep. Okay, Jack Dorsey, so the creator of Twitter, right? So now he's supporting Nostr, and what is Nostr, for those who don't already know? It's notes and other stuff powered by relays. And what does that mean? It's a decentralized social network with a chance of working. I think during COVID, we've had quite a lot of issues, and I think the main one that people have noticed is censorship, right? So because of that, I think Nostr has really kicked off recently. And one really awesome thing about this is you just have a public and private key, and you can use them on whatever client you want. It's not like Twitter, you have one client, there's one backend, you have an ID on Twitter. In this case, it's kind of like podcasting. You can choose your favorite podcasting app, and you have access to the same content. And what this also means is that each specific client can focus on one thing in the Nostr network. It's not like Facebook or WeChat, I think the China one is, where they just build this one super app and they try and keep you inside their, closed box. So here's one of the clients, Nostr clients, which is quite similar to Twitter, I guess. The first thing you see when you visit the site is that you need to log in, well, if you want to use it. So you can paste your private key, or you can use your public key if you want a read-only version. But if you actually want to interact with the Nostr network, then you need a private key in order to sign events. So we don't want to give our private key away to every single website that we use. That's terrible, right? Private key is something that you really want to keep safe and secure and limit the exposure as much as you can. So what Alby can do is it can look after your private key for you. And then with Alby or any other extension which follows this public spec can log in on your behalf. So how does this work in Nostr? In Alby, you can generate a brand new random key if you don't really care. You just want to test something out, or maybe just make a new anonymous account that you can post, ship post, right? Or you can derive a key from your account, and this is really cool because maybe you lose the extension, you want to reinstall the extension, you create a new connection to your own node or to an existing Alby account, and you can derive the same key. So we'll go ahead and try and log in. First thing, when you click on the button, Alby will ask you, is this really what you want to do? Do you want to give away your public key? Well, my public key it's a public key, right? So I'm happy to give it away. Now I'm going to do a new note, like a tweet, I guess. And in order to post the note, you have to sign with your private key, and that proves that you are the one posting. So Alby will ask you, do you really want to sign this? And you can click on view details and see exactly what you're signing to make sure it's what you expect. So before we talked about YouTube and Twitter, but the really cool thing about Nostr is that it integrates Lightning natively. So here on my Nostr profile, I have my Lightning address. And what this does is it links a Lightning address to a profile. And that means my content can be monetized. If I post something people like, people can upvote the content using sats, and I earn from that. And also other people will see those payments too. And this is all possible with zaps. So I guess most of you know zaps, right? And it's not just standard Lightning payments. There's actually quite a lot more to it. But from the extension, if I want to zap someone, using Alby and using allowances, I can say, today I want to spend $10. I can do a single click, as easy as a like, and I send payment to someone. So what does zaps enable? So zaps are receipts of payments, right? You can see how many people have paid for a piece of content. You can see, wow, this is good content, right? It's a powerful signal. As I said, I can click a single button and I can send money. I'm not just sending information now. Also, metadata can be attached. So you can send a payment, you can also include a comment, but later on, maybe we can send other information based on the type of content. And the cool thing about zaps is, I had a really simple example, which is just a plain text note, but Nostr has many different types of notes. It's completely extendable. So you can zap different types of notes. Maybe we can have videos on Nostr or podcasts on Nostr, and people can zap that content, and we can use that to figure out what is the best content, what should I watch. Cool, so yeah, I covered those already. Here's some stats on zaps so far. It's about a week old, but we can see zaps are steadily increasing. So it shows that Bitcoiners are actually happy to pay if it's user-friendly. And the funny thing is, the mobile experience is still not that user-friendly, right? Because in order to send a payment, you have to switch app to your wallet, do the payment, and then switch back to your Nostr client. So at Alby, we're working on a new proposal where you can make payments directly from within your mobile app. And this is WebLN over Nostr. So how does that work? If you're on a Lightning node knows your public key, and only you have your private key, you can post a note using your private key saying, I want to pay for something. And if your Lightning node is connected to relays and it picks up that note, then it knows, oh, okay, I need to make this payment. And this is really cool because it means I don't need a direct connection to my node anymore. And sometimes that's quite difficult, right? If you're running your own node behind Tor or some other setup. So some people might be thinking Nostr is just a decentralized Twitter, but it's not. It's really powerful, so don't get confused. One really good example I heard the other day is that it's like cell phones for the internet. So I think in the past, maybe I'm still a bit young, but if you have a landline and you want to move house, you need to get a new phone number, right? And so what happens if you have a Google email address and Google decides they don't like you anymore? You need to get a new email address, right? But now you have a public and private key. You can take the public and private key anywhere, to any client you want, interact with any relays you want. It never changes. And this public-private key pair is like decentralized IDs, and it's a complete paradigm shift. Nostr is also a really good way to orange pill your friends who are still hesitant about Bitcoin, because it uses a lot of Bitcoin concepts like managing keys, and it's just zapping someone is a really cool way to have your first experience with Lightning. Okay, so now we'll jump to podcasting. So has anyone here used podcasting 2.0? Yep, so like Fountain app or Listen and paid for podcasts. Cool. So podcasting 2.0 is like standard podcasting, except it's Lightning powered. And it's the most successful implementation of value to date. So there's a bunch of apps that you can choose, the one you like most, that you like to consume podcasts on. You can pay directly from within the app. And there's different types of payments you can do. So you can just listen, you can set a value, like I want to pay 100 sats per minute of content, and if, you'll listen to the whole episode if you enjoy it. If you don't, then you only listen to the first 5 minutes. And this is value in practice. The other option is boosting. So you can send payments, you can send messages along with payments, like the example I made before. For content creators, it's also really awesome. For example, if Aditya and I had a podcast, we can receive payments. 50% goes to Aditya, 50% goes to me. And you can set up as many splits as you want. So here's some stats on podcasting 2.0. So far we have 12,000 podcasts who are receiving Lightning payments, which is pretty awesome. There's 8 podcast hosts which have native Lightning integrations, but you can actually set up podcasting 2.0 with any podcasting host, no matter if it's Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, it's up to you. And there's a whole bunch of apps that you can use, so choose your favorite one, the interface that you enjoy. You can listen to your favorite podcasters. So how is this possible on mobile apps? It's pretty difficult to have in-app payments. You don't want to set up a new wallet or have to top up your mobile app. So what Alby also helps with is you can just use your Alby account on whatever app you'd like. And this is possible using the Alby API. Another really cool thing for content creators is that we have more powerful analytics using Lightning. You don't just see what your consumers listen to, but you can see payments throughout the episode. You can see which parts of the episodes people like the most, where they're happy to send sats, and from that you can improve your content. We're working on this real time, and we're going to have some pretty awesome updates coming soon.
Yeah, like we talked before, I think the code is here now, and the future is now. So I think it's time to integrate Lightning into every website. And also we are working on an open content payment spec, OCPS, which basically uses LSAT tokens, and so that we can now provide premium content on RSS feeds and any other feeds that you have. So how it works is basically we make a GET request to the same endpoint, and we usually change the headers so that we get to know if the user wants to access the free segment or if he wants to pay for it. So yeah, so we can use the same 402, so the payment required spec, so that we can change the headers so to give the free segment first, and if the user really wants to pay for it, then he clicks on a button, and then this time when he makes a request to the endpoint, he'll get an invoice instead, and if he pays it, he can access it. And this is Alby is currently working with Conshacks to implement this for podcasts, and not just podcasts, but we can also use it everywhere. If, for example, if you want to read the rest of the article, you can use this LSAT thing, or even if you want to unblur an image for a service like Instagram, for example, then if you want to unblur an image, you can just click on it and pay it, and using the same endpoint, you'll get the image unblurred. Yeah. So with so many things going on, I think it's time to feel the Lightning. And also, if you're already in Lightning, you can use the Alby's Discover page. We have a lot of options to explore. There's be it trading, gaming, entertainment, shopping, and also all the Nostr clients. We have it all. And it's also time to support creators because you can stream payments on using podcasting 2.0 apps, and you can also zap people on Nostr clients. And if you're already using it, it's time to orange pill your friends, because you can start sending them tips and get them started on Nostr and also podcasting 2.0. And if you're a developer, we have many tools for you, and it's time to start building, because no deep understanding is required. You can just pick up from using the APIs that we provide and all the other tools. You can explore the open specs. We have all these well-maintained documentations on WebLN, LNURL, and NIPs on GitHub, and also the WebLN guide that Roland has said before. And if you want to try something related to Alby, you have Alby tools, the Alby API and WebLN. The Alby tools is quite recent, and it has a lot of awesome features. If you want to integrate Lightning into your website, the Alby tools can help you generate invoices using a Lightning address in just a few lines of code, like 1 or 2 lines of code. We have all the methods available. If you just have a pick up the Lightning address on your website, then all you have to do is import the Alby tools on your website, and then you can generate invoices, pay them, and also you can boost them. If you're making a podcasting website, you can boost them. Or if you're trying something on Nostr, like if you're building a Nostr client or something like that, you can also mention the release that you you can mention the release, and you can also zap them using the HTTP endpoints. And also we have the HTTP to Nostr worker. So because HTTP is all based on WebSockets, we try to bring them on HTTP so that you can, for example, right now we have like a few endpoints where you can fetch the profile information using the Nostr pub key just by making a HTTP request. And also we can now post your notes on a specified release by mentioning them just by making a post request to an endpoint.
So I hope you agree, Bitcoin is hope, right?
Yep. So thank you so much. And now we have questions.
So we'll open up the floor. We have about 3 or 4 minutes for some Q&A. So, you know, we got a lot of cool stuff up there. Nostr, zaps. So I'm sure there's some people in the crowd who want to ask a few questions. So don't everybody raise your hand all at once. But oh, here we go. From the front row here. Here we go.
Hi. Can you talk a little bit more about podcasting 2.0? So I heard the pitch, which was I'm streaming sats. I like it as a user. I signed up for Fountain. They asked me to pay an invoice, and it looked like I was depositing sats into their system. And as far as I know, it seems just to be like a database. And to people to get the sats out, you have to like ask them to withdraw. Like, am I missing something? Is there a wider protocol where like the podcaster can like immediately receive the sats as I listen without having to like give them to another third party? Thank you very much.
Yes, I think Fountain actually has a bit of a closed ecosystem, and they do that for a number of reasons. They have a content discovery platform, so they want to receive a split of the payments so they can figure out what are the top podcasts on their platform. But actually, you can use any podcast host. All you need is an RSS feed, and inside the RSS feed, there's a special value block which links to one or more nodes, and that's how we do the payment splits. So the answer is you don't have to use Fountain, you can use whatever you want.
Thank you. Awesome. Time for 2 more quick questions. Oh, here we go.
So out of all the use cases and projects you guys introduced, what do you think, one, what are you most excited about? And 2, what do you think has the best chance of having demand in Asia, maybe in a country like Vietnam, like podcasting 2.0, Nostr, different things? Any opinion?
I think it can be Saturn. So
Yeah, I'm really excited about Nostr. I think they're both really awesome tools, right? Podcasting 2.0, Nostr, they both enable the same thing, which is value for value. And I think if we can get people receiving payments using value for value, that's great. I think the biggest challenge right now is the networking effect, right? A lot of people use YouTube, a lot of people use Spotify, Facebook for live, Twitch. How do we get people transitioning over? How do you keep your existing audience and receive payments in Lightning? So we're trying to gradually transition using, the boost button so that you can receive payments from your existing audience. But how are we going to go directly to a new, application? How do you receive native Lightning payments? I think this is the difficulty right now.
Good answer. Time for one last question. Oh, I'll give it to you. Yeah, one last question, and then we'll head for a break. It's all good. I'll get it.
Hey, what are some attack vectors for Nostr? Government attack vectors. Like, how can people cut off Nostr communication or relays?
I think it's pretty difficult, right?
Censorship resistant it is.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's censorship resistant because you get to choose what relays you want to follow, right? So it's pretty difficult to, it's sort of attack prone, I should just saying.
I think one attack vector right now is leaking your private key. So especially on mobile, like if I have, my private key is on my computer and I use it with Alby, but then I want to use a mobile app. How do I get my private key there? If you have your private key in a whole bunch of spaces, people, if they can get your private key, they can impersonate you, and they might, they might be able to do bad things there.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, well, we'll wrap it up, and we have a 7-minute break before the next presenter comes on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.